I am joined by Dr. Alutalala Mukwana, who is an advocate, as we just try to dissect some of the issues on our political space currently. Raila Odinga's suggestion to have an interim government, and of course Siaya County being the first county to pass the bill on the creation of people's assemblies. We expect that this will run through other counties that are seen to be NASA aligned.
True.
Then what next? What are we likely to see in the coming months as far as people's assemblies are concerned?
Yeah, Akisa, first of all, I'm a bit surprised that the country doesn't seem to realize that the process which NASA has begun has the potential to cause huge political ramifications to the political structure of this country. Once those assemblies have adopted those motions, and it's not a surprise that Siaya becomes the first one, because that is Honorable Raila's home turf, we'll see a replication of those passages of motions in all the other counties which subscribe to the NASA push. But whatever they do must eventually be anchored in the law. Because remember, NASA has to be careful that they are not seen to be an outright renegades of the law. Because the moment they do that, then they're in bigger trouble.
Yeah.
So what I expect is that after the county assemblies are done with what we've just seen in Siaya, we'll see a replication of the same at the national level, what they're calling the People's Assembly now at the national level. Once that is done, the ultimate objective is to amend the Constitution. Now, you cannot amend the Constitution by that move alone. They will need to adopt, either to use the popular initiative of amending the Constitution or the parliamentary option. That is provided for under Article 255 generally, but it's either 256 or Article 257. What is expected is that Jubilee will obviously fight back. And therefore, if they were to go to Parliament, they'll not have a way through.
Yes, the tyranny of numbers.
The tyranny of numbers. Ultimately, NASA will resort to what they have called Article 2. They have cited Article 2 of the Constitution and Article 3, generally saying that the sovereign power belongs to the people. So they will then petition for the amendment of the Constitution through the popular initiative. Ultimately, Akisa, my worry is that we may end up having a state of paralysis in this country, where you have a parallel government structure, for lack of a better word, a parallel government structure. The people assemblies from the grassroots, from the NASA areas, all the way up there, having declared that they do not recognize the presidency of Uhuru Kenyatta, and therefore they are not subject to the rule of law.
So will the formation of an interim government put a stop to this? Will it cap this?
I still insist that let's use the word dialogue. Because really, this creature, which Honorable Raila, with due respect to him, this creature called interim government or transitional government, is not known in this constitution. An interim government presupposes that there is a complete lacuna, a complete gap. Believe me, even if there was a gap in the eyes of NASA, Jubilee will fight strenuously to ensure that there can be no, even the figment of imagination, that there is a lacuna, that there is a gap. So what I would rather you say is that at this stage, will dialogue do? And my answer is yes. The only people who have refused to dialogue is President Kenyatta and Raila Odinga. The rest of the country says, please dialogue. Because there is a time when you must go beyond the law and appreciate that we are human beings, and what has happened requires us to sit together and discuss. Look, the wise have said that we may never agree, but we must never fail to listen. At this stage in this country, the salvation is dialogue. There can be no other salvation. And Raila said it last night. He said that it will be protracted. What does protraction mean? That it will go on for a long time. Even as the assemblies are being put into place, the people's assemblies are being put in place, There is the economic boycott, which you are not getting much feedback from the media. But outside the media, you hear that in Kisumu, for example, there are queues and queues of people lining up to change their lines from Safaricom to Airtel. The Safaricom dealers have already cried wolf and saying that this is going to kill our business and kill jobs. I do not know how far the Bidco boycott is going, and so forth. A protracted struggle is one thing we can ill afford as a country.
But we also have a section of the country, and of course majorly Jubilee supporters who feel we went back to the poll, like what was said by the Supreme Court in their ruling after the August 8th. We went back and voted. Our president is duly elected. What about these other Kenyans who support the government and say that they have gone by the rules? They've played by the rules.
Yeah, you see, these rules seem to depend on who is talking. Because clearly, when you say our president, has the NASA said that their president is Raila? And that's exactly what I'm saying, that we need to dialogue. Because to be fair to the Jubilee side, the Jubilee side holds that, look, our victory was nullified, by whatever definition, because NASA would hear nothing of that. And we went back to the poll, never mind that the process is not acceptable to NASA, and we have a president, and that NASA made sure that elections don't go on in their areas. How the hell then can you hold us at ransom? And that argument on the Jubilee side is valid. Now, so what do you do, Akisa, when you have two extreme positions which are not willing to budge? The first point, of course, is in the court, what Honorable Harun Mao has done. But now we know that the other side will hear none of the court's decision. And they have their fears as well. They say, look, after the annulment of the election, the judiciary was subjected to intimidation by none other than the head of the Jubilee candidature. Then was the incident of the shooting of Philomena Mwilu's bodyguard, and the failure by the Supreme Court to raise the quorum. There's NASA people, you listen to them, they are saying the Jubilee, beg your pardon, the Supreme Court judges are not in the same frame of mind as they were when they delivered the first decision. So to NASA, the Supreme Court is a no-go. Akisa, it is a stalemate. And when there is a stalemate, it's no longer a question of who is right and wrong. It becomes a question of what is best for country. And that is why I insist that dialogue has to hold sway. Jubilee will not be right or wrong. NASA will be not right or wrong. What will be right is the country. And that country demands that Honorable Raila and Honorable Kenyatta must sober up and understand that we cannot take this anymore. Akisa, the bulk of our people in this country cannot afford to stock up, not even for one day.
Got a powerful way of ending this conversation. Dr. Lutalala Mukhwana is an advocate. Thank you very much for joining me here on KTN News Desk. Of course, giving us views on Raila Odinga's suggestion for an interim government, the legality of such suggestions, and of course the People's Assembly bill that has been passed by the first county, which is Siaya County.